We are about to begin on turning on your client waterfall with Christine Campbell Rappin. So stay tuned. Welcome, Christine. I love playing with you. I'm happy that you're here today.
I'm so excited. Anytime we get to share space, it just leaves with a heart happy and a smile on my face.
Yes, there's just that joy that connects us from California to Canada.
A bridge can fly a million miles.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are new to Christine, she is an energetic, tell it like it is, business advisor. She's a mentor, a consultant, and a speaker with more than 25 years experience in marketing, sales, and operations, working with startups to the biggest companies on the planet. She helps you get ka-ching, basically, and workout systems. So as the owner of Clear Acceleration Inc., she believes that businesses can be elegantly simple when you know what to focus on to create success. Christine is a 3 times international best-selling author. She holds a Bachelor of Commerce and an MBA in international, and cut off from there. International business, I assume.
Business.
So tell me, Christine, like, we're talking about money, business, growing, and thank you, by the way, for inviting me to be in your upcoming program about turning on your client waterfall.
You're welcome.
And when we mean waterfall, it's like waterfall of money, waterfall of love, waterfall of referrals, waterfall of visibility, waterfalls of success, waterfalls of systems in place to make things and life business happy, joyful, simple.
Well, it's so true. And the funny thing, so many, many years ago, I read a book, one of my favorites, and it's not a real life story, but I'm sure it's appropriated enough on real stories. And there was a line in it that has lingered with me forever. And it says, a waterfall starts with just one drop. And it's through the one drops that a waterfall creates this beautiful cascading movement that can shape the landscape. It can carve stone. It can do all these amazing things. And I think sometimes we often forget that while we want this big abundance, it all starts from one thing and one step and the decision to get off zero. And I'm on a big mission, as you know, to help people get off zero. And if you want to create big impact and you want to have waterfalls and abundance, please think small, because it's the small things compounded that really just create the biggest changes.
I love that. Waterfalls start with one drop. One drop. So what is the number one thing, or I guess we can have up to 3, that help to predict revenue in a business?
Well, this is where people get really confused, because they're like the web browser with 10,000 tabs open, thinking that all these 10,000 tabs.
I can't hear you because I'm not exactly one of those.
But truly, and the world is selling you complexity, and anytime there's people selling something, buyer beware. So I will tell you, it's really, really simple. 2 things predict your revenue. Just 2. Not the 1,000 tabs you got going on, not the someday plans, not the stuff you're going to do in 7 months from now or 2028. 2 things. 2 things create movement and exchange of energy. Number 1 is the buyer. You can use the word client, customer, shopper, patient. Use what a word feels really comfortable for you, but it's a person who has an exchange to give you, a credit card. You have to find them. So if you don't have anybody to talk to, you're not going to have any revenue. So that's just piece one
You
of the
mean I
puzzle.
have to get out of my meditation cave and like go meet people?
You do. Here's the shocking news nobody told you in the fine print that you didn't read the day you decided to open your business. Your business will be built on strangers. Always. So you never stop trying to find strangers to learn who is the buyer in the room, because not everybody's a buyer. And we can talk a little bit about that, certainly, because I think that's why people get lost. But if you are meeting nobody and you are not constantly renewing that waterfall of people, you will stall your business. You'll stagnate the results. And so the first thing that predicts it is get clear. Have you met anybody recently? Go audit yourself. That's piece number one. Number two of that is you have to make an invitation. You have to make an offer. You have to invite people to a result. And it's the two pieces, the buyer and the exchange, that create the marriage of energy. And so if you are wanting movement, almost every business, everything I've seen, all the data says that it takes on average 90 days to move from first idea, curiosity, a bump in contact, to a certainty of a decision. And so we've got to work through finding matches of buyers and sellers in order to create, guess what? Cha-ching! Oh, that was perfect. Oh, seriously, you didn't tell me there were games afoot. Should have been known.
We play.
I love that. So that's how simple business really is. All the 10,000 other things you're doing is just distraction. Somebody told you was necessary. And it is so simple, because one conversation with one human being, with one solution, with one offer can create your next client.
I love the kind of clients that will see a post or see me in a summit, and yet they haven't even heard me speak yet. And they'll reach out to me and they'll be like, I don't know, there's just something about your energy. I thought I should connect with you. And, it's like the people who are listening to their intuition about who they resonate with, even if they don't know what they're selling yet, and are already a yes. I love those people that are that divinely guided yes.
I call them unicorns, and unicorns exist. Like the world
I
is
am a unicorn.
The worlds are full of magic. And if you have certainty, and that's what your energy always shares, you have certainty. I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I'm ready to receive, and I'm here to invite. Beautiful things come from that. And that's what they respond to. And so if you want more unicorn clients, you start showing up expecting to create a match with fellow unicorns, because we're looking and people are moving and the marketplace is really busy. If it's not busy in your business, I'm going to be a truth teller and tell you you're part of that problem. And chances are you're not very certain.
What do coaches and healers and entrepreneurs need to be certain about? I have my thoughts, but I want to hear from you on this.
A couple of things.
Okay.
So the first thing is you've got to remember that people only pay for a result. So you have to have certainty that you can deliver a tangible result, a pathway, a methodology, a consistent pattern. People are borrowing your certainty anytime that they're listening to you make an offer, because they're not certain. Their past track record hasn't created the result. So for you to have the magnetic exchange, you have to be able to see yourself as a result driver and an ability to do that. That's number one. Number two, it's you have to know that you're not just a likable expert, that people will pay you for this. I think so many coaches, healers, and people in the space of woo want to serve and save the world. And here's something I want to say also, shocker, the world doesn't want to be saved. It really doesn't. There's 8 billion people on the planet. We're incredibly capable of solving stuff. They don't want you to save them. So please, release, please hear me say that. They don't want you to save them. But
What
what
do
they
they want
do want,
instead?
they want to save themselves. They want to change
Mhm.
their circumstances, and they're looking for a guide to help them break a pattern they have, because their current pattern isn't serving them anymore. They're standing on a grenade that they said, I'm curious, I have to get off it, and I need somebody I can borrow certainty around to get moving in a better direction than my current reality. But you have to be seen as, one, person who's capable of delivering results, and two, you have to be certain that you're somebody who says, I get and can create, and here's a huge one, I can receive currency to deliver that result, because we feel better when there's currency exchange.
A couple hundred years ago, okay, here's a chicken. Here's
What did
a
I have to
bushel of
give?
apples,
Yeah,
right? There may have been more trades involved. And
that's
I
still
think
an exchange. You brought your gift that was the most valuable. I was a goat herder, so I brought you my goats. I was a tapestry weaver, so I brought you tapestry. We brought those skills. And in this modern age, you've got to know that you bring value to the equation as the seller, and it's okay to ask for income and receive it. It
and
doesn't
since
change the result.
yes, but I think the upgrade is going from the imprinting from ancestors, society about asking for money, fill in the blank. Asking for money is bad. Asking for money is greedy, or whatever the little programming may be that's causing the roadblock to feeling comfortable in having a sales conversation and asking for money. But if someone wants to actually be in business, that's super important.
You must overcome the block. And I heard something earlier in this week, and it was this question, and it comes down to the selling component. Are you managing your discomfort around it, or are you avoiding it?
Yeah.
And you may never love the sales process. Many of us don't love the sales process, but we love the service of the result on the other side. And the toll we pay is to manage our discomfort. You cannot stay in business if you don't learn to manage the discomfort of selling, because selling isn't optional. It's the lifeblood of your business. And when you are showing up in service of somebody else, I don't have any concern inviting you to a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I respect your choice decision, but I am here to guide you and to say, it's not up to me to judge whether you can afford me. It's not up to me to decide if this is your moment or not. My job is to show up with the ask, to the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, and to know that that's something I
Mm-hmm.
can manage, and I
And
can't be there by avoiding
I've
it.
had breakthroughs on both sides, the asking for it as well as the paying for it.
Yeah.
Like some of the bigger high ticket items, programs, coaches, healers that I've worked with, where it's like a big amount of ka-ching,
Yeah.
and it was such a stretch at the time, right? But just in even making the initial payment or deposit or whatever the scenario was, that in and of itself was healing. That in and of itself was a confidence building moment, even if I was shaking in my boots while I did
I
it.
remember the first time I made a big investment, and it was about $10,000. And in my mind, to me, it wasn't so much about the money. It was about the commitment I was making to myself.
Yes.
And my husband was like, I don't know what you're involved in, but I have never seen you squirrely like you're being squirrely. What's the deal? And I'm like, I'm literally doing the stutter step into my future. And I want to go join this program. And he's like, okay, I don't understand. I've never seen you stutter step. And I'm like, he's like, do you need money? Like, is this a money problem? And I'm like, it's not really a money problem. It's that, I would spend money helping my kids get educated, spent money on other things, but to say I'm spending money on myself was actually the block because it meant I had to show up as my own priority. And that was the bigger issue for me. And I sat there, my husband said, what advice would you have given a client? I said, always bet on yourself. You can always create money. And it is up to you to bet on yourself. So I listened to my own advice and I put my credit card down and I paid for this and then said, my commitment doing this is to make it right, which means I will show up for the classes. I will show up and do the work. I will manage my discomfort and trust the process that where I want to get to, this is a stepping stone towards it. And I built, this big investment was to buy and to build a course, which I built an amazing course I never sold. And it wasn't because it wasn't great content, but because I didn't want to serve that audience by the time I evolved out of that process. I have the skills. I've used the skills in many ways. It helped me build the next business. And I learned a lot. So it was a toll I well paid. But truthfully, I just said, I have to make it right. And so when people are talking about making a big decision, either to ask for or to receive it, both sides come together to say, how do we make it right? And both of us have a responsibility to show up, and it should be fun in the discomfort, and we should support each other in the humanity of that.
Mm-hmm. I find that the discomfort for sure has subsided over the years. I mean, I started getting paid for healing when I was 8. And $1 for 10 minutes. I did it because my dad told me to. He's like, that was my version of a lemonade stand. He's like, oh, these clients are rich. They can afford it. You should just do it. And I was doing something that looked like massage at his barn. And so he said I should do it, told me what to charge. So I did, right? And then later, maybe late teens, early 20s, that's when the weirdness came about, healers shouldn't charge or whatever the stories and chatter was about. And then I got an opportunity to clear that out. Right. And thankfully I did, because I would not at all be where I am in business and life now if I hadn't had that opportunity.
Well, it's funny, sitting in my office today, I have kids selling something door to door. I don't know what it is, chocolates, something. I can just see it across the street, and I've been watching them up and down. And you can watch them pep talking themselves to go knock on a stranger's door.
Aww.
And yet you should see the smiles when they've sold something. The happy skipping, coming back to whoever it is. I assume it's a parent that's like, this amazing result just happened. And remember, like, that's what the sale is. It's an exchange of, we're going to deliver a result. And both sides should feel good about that commitment to each other. But it's funny to watch them, because I said, most of us, our first jobs were babysitting or mowing the lawn or doing something for our own candy money. I mean, mine was for candy. I don't know what anybody else used theirs for, going to camp. But we have to learn that skill, and somehow we get weirded out about it. At some point, something happens, somebody says something, there's something that seeds it. And to your point, we heal it. And we say, what matters more isn't my discomfort. What matters more is my gifts, my lens, my results that I can give somebody else who says, I put up my hand and said, I want that.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me an example of a client story where you took them from X dollars to X dollars?
Yeah, I'm happy to chat about one of my clients who when she first started her business, she was making about $70,000. And to her, that was a lot of money. And she said, I never want to make 6 figures because there's a lot of tax at 6 figures. And yet she wanted to hire people and to support other people. She had a real service. She worked in the not-for-profit sector, a lot of stories around money around that. And I said to her early on, I said, I'm not here to judge how much money you want to make, because I don't care what your number is. But let's just kind of knock on the head the misnomer about not-for-profits. Not-for-profits aren't about starving and being broke and being poor, and nor is your business. They should make a lot. They should live in abundance, because the more money they can generate, the more they can utilize that money, and they don't keep it. They give it away. So just play a game with me. If you had more than the money that you have now, what would you use that abundance in your life for? Who's your favorite charity that you support and you donate your skill set to? She runs a marketing agency. And she's like, well, this is my favorite charity. And she told me what the name of it was out in Portland, Oregon. And I said, what's their operating budget? Do you know? Because you have good eyes on the business in the marketing space. She said their marketing budget's about $200,000. I said, what would it look like in your business is if you could fund their operating budget from the money you created? And she's like, I think I want to build $1 million business. I said, I'm not, okay. If you want to stay at 70, great. If you want to stay at 300,000, great. I want you to see what's possible if we heal the story and we use it for good. And within the first year, her business went from 70 to about a $330,000 revenue gap in that first year working with me. And she stayed with me a couple years. The issue then became not an issue of finding clients, because we were building how to find clients. How to find clients is what my skill set is. How do you do it predictably, frequently, and profitably? But what happened is we started to get sloppy on the business. And I said, you have a cash problem. You don't have a client work problem, but you're not getting your bills paid. And it's like, well, but I've sent the invoice, but I don't want to ask for the money. I'm like, you provided a service, you have to get paid for it. And you can't afford to make your payroll if we don't solve this. And we had to have a really heart-to-heart conversation and make a decision, make it right. Because I said, right now, you're going to have to retrench 2 people in your team, furlough them for a small pause, collect the cash, and decide if you want to ride through this storm. And she's like, I really want to build that operating budget. So she did. She made the tough call. She had to put some of her stuff on a pause. We cleaned up a whole bunch of get the bills paid. And their business now continued to grow at a steady space where the business was really stable. And I think, since you were teasing me about this when we had your event a couple months ago, and I'm like, I want you to have a beautiful, boring, stable business. And you're like, boring? Who cares about boring? And I want you to not feel this 3 a.m. nightmare of, I don't know how to pay my bills. Because I don't know why that is attractive. Like, our job is to light the fire, not to be on fire.
This girl is on fire. That's right.
Well, so her success story is casting your imagination of how quickly things can change when you cast a big vision and you do get comfortable around money conversations, because it's an exchange of energy, and that's it. It's true. Money doesn't judge you. A dollar is a dollar. All dollars are equal. Everyone who had a small number and a big number all still did it $1 at a time.
I love that. Money doesn't judge you.
It doesn't. And a lot of people think that, they have their own, to your point, interpretations around money. But I'm like, avoiding your accounts, avoiding your, I didn't meet any strangers, I didn't make any offers, oh my God, I have no clients, shouldn't be uncomfortable, because it's awareness. Every business owner, myself included, have periods in our business where we lose sight of some of the focus. We choose to step out of focus. And I go, well, I have the exact business I created. And if I want to create it differently, I'm aware those 2 things are the best things to focus on.
Okay. Now we're starting to come to a close here, but I really want to know, what was your driving force, your why, in creating, turning on your client Waterfall?
It's twofold. The bigger why is my why of my business. It's heartbreaking watching people's dreams crumble. And I see so many business owners with a hope and no skills. And I was watching good people with good intentions who could make big impact go broke, emotionally, financially, watch their relationships get really frictional, because when are you going to give up your dream? And the gasping air for, I have to give up my dream. That was why I started saying I could help you build this business because it's a solvable problem. And my skill set for 30 years was learning how to solve it. And so I can gift that now. And I got invited to the table to do that. But the Turn On Your Client Waterfall event series came from the fact that everybody is selling you on the complexity, and the conversation was manipulative. If you just did this one thing, you will have a business. If you take my course and you don't get results, it's you, not me. And I don't play that way. There's a million ways to build a business, but I need you to have the foundation skills that you need. And I want you to start with one drop, because you're comparing your business with complicated funnels and big ad budgets, and you're watching the gurus run a business where they're not at step one, and you're feeling crappy about yourself, and nobody's helping you actually at step one. And I remember when I started building this vision that I should create the conversation I didn't think was happening, someone in my space I respected said, nobody wants to play where the foundations are. There's not enough interest because it's not sexy. And I'm like,
is it boring?
It's boring. I'm like, but the results are sexy. I'm like, to live
Okay,
like oxygen, to live like you have
sexy
oxygen.
results.
I like having holidays where I build my business 1 hour a day, but I know what to focus on, so I can. And I think the reason I do it now in Q2, there's a real reason I do the timing of this event, because it's the cliffhanger of business. Your Q2 is built on the 90 days of Q1. What did you do January, February, March? You stalled for 6 weeks and didn't get going. Your business now is a little rocky. And here the weather's getting warmer. I mean, you live in the sunshine state, but I'm living in a place where I can finally sit outside. And we start to think, I don't have enough clients. So it's okay if I go for ice cream or go to the beach or go to the park. I'm like, it absolutely is okay to do that. Please do that 12 months of the year, because you can, because your business has the income to support it. And you use it as a beautiful way to reward and to play. And instead, what happens is you take the summer off because you had no clients. And come September, the second new year of the year, without all the justifications of the reason your business isn't winning, and you'll say the most dangerous thing I hear: 2026 will be my year. I'll start planning for next year.
Oh, keeping it out there. No.
And I'm like, please, if we do this in Q2, the work we do right now will pay your hydro bill in summer. It'll pay your ice cream account. It'll pay your Slurpee account, whatever is your thing in summer. So please, let's get you to clients today, because your clients are shopping today and they'll be shopping in the summer. I want to find a match for you.
Love it. So let's just take a moment, like 20 seconds, and just be the space of money, prosperity, and abundance. Okay. So let's hold this space for our peoples. Come on, money miracles. Bring it in.
Money miracles.
Yes, call it in. Bring in your king.
Money miracles.
Love it.
All right. So
I want to even bring my little rubber ducky to the party.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So for those of you who need more money miracles, sign up now for Turn On Your Client Waterfall. I'm going to be one of the speakers.
She's going to lead us in the morning to get us abundantly open to receiving. Can't wait.
Yes. We're going to do lots of healing and getting you in the nice, juicy receiving space.
Oh, it's going to be so fun. I can't wait.
Well, thank you again, Christine. Big love and gratitude. And I'll see you next. Is it Tuesday?
Tuesday. Be there.
Tuesday it is.
Place to be.
May 13th. Sign up now. Link is in the comments. Bye.
See ya.